so soon. We've only just finished the stream about the monster covers, but Roger's here is going to be my second participant, sharing some comic book memories. So it's 5 memorable comics or 5 memories related to comics from your past. You've been collecting for a couple of months now?
Yeah, couple hundred months. I'd say, yeah.
Yeah.
About over 40 years. I've been. I mean, when you say collecting, at first you don't really collect, right? I mean, you're amassing what you think are comics that you'll like and read storylines, and at some point you're like, hey, let's go back and discover others, and then you start to actually put together runs. That's when I think you're collecting, when you're putting together runs.
Is it when you write your first list out of ones that you want to get? Is that when you start becoming a collector?
Yeah. In fact, I found my first. I should have brought it out. I found my first list. It's literally disintegrating. It's in one little spiral bound notebooks, and I ripped it out. And literally, you can't even read it. It's all faded. 40 years ink.
Have you checked it off to make sure you've got them all now, or is there still some on there you haven't?
I don't even know what's on there anymore.
Oh man, that's a shame. Are you going to keep it anyway, or are you going to recycle it?
I'm going to try to see if I can put it and see if I can figure out what's in it. But
cool.
It's just in a little box right now.
All right. So let's move on with your first comic memory then, if you have one ready for us.
Yeah, sure.
Are you going to do them chronologically, like in how they happened in your life, or just
Yeah.
Cool.
So again, this is not the actual comic, but it's the character, because I don't remember the exact one, right?
Yeah.
But I was probably 5-ish, and my parents are Cuban refugees. So they moved. When Castro came into power in the early '60s, they moved. They got out and went to New Jersey, where my uncle had a business and worked for him. So I was born in New Jersey, and my brother actually was an avid collector of comics. He had multiple runs of Spider-Man, a lot of the popular titles, Spider-Man, Superman. But one he had that he especially loved was Metal Men.
Oh, yeah.
And most of his comics were lost in the move to South Florida, but I guess he brought a few of these with him in the car, when they drove down here. So he still had some. So I saw them around the house, and when he was out of, he was in school or whatever, or, out playing with his friends, I was sneaking to he had like a chest of drawers, and he had them in there, and I would sneak them out and start flipping through them. Now, I couldn't really read English at that point because my parents didn't speak English, because Spanish was the language in Cuba, but I could sort of make out from the pictures and the situation what was going on. And I just thought they were wonderful characters. They all had distinct personalities and obviously looked different and acted differently. And there was just a lot of wacky fun. So Metal Men are always dear and near to my heart because they're the first, my first experience with comics.
Yeah. So your brother, was he a lot older than you, or a little bit older than you?
He's 9 years older than I am.
Oh, he's older. So was he able to read them, or was he did he come over with you from Cuba, or was he here? He was
born in Cuba. Yeah.
Yeah. So he came over the same time as you, but he could read English before you could.
Yeah. I was born in New Jersey. He was born in Cuba, but he came in, I think, 1960.
Oh, so he had a few more years learning before. Yeah.
Before. We came to South Florida in 67 or 68. So that's where, so I was very young. I 4 or 5, somewhere like that, when I started seeing these. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So who's your
he did speak and read English because he was in school.
Yeah. So who's your favorite Metal Man?
I was always partial to Gold,
All right.
Not because of the value of the metal, but because, he was always a very more cerebral of the pack. He tried to think things through a little bit. And some of the others, certainly Mercury was super impulsive.
Lead was a little bit on the
slow side, very loyal. Iron Man was, he was like the guy who would like punch through the front door.
Tin was quite timid, wasn't he?
And Tim was very unsure of himself, and Platinum was very emotional. So Gold was the more, sort of middle ground character that tried to think things through.
He was a team leader, though, wasn't he? Gold as well.
Unless you count Doc Magnus.
Yeah, he was like the one who's the creator. Have you read like more modern Metal Men? Because I know every now and again they get another little run. Do you still pick them up whenever they come out of a new title?
Yeah, I think the most recent one I have is from like the mid 2000s. They had a series, but they actually have one that's going on right now. But I'm waiting for it to finish, and then I'll pick it up.
Oh, cool. Because was it always the responsometer that powered them, or was that a later invention?
Excuse me.
No worries. Too much talking today. Yeah. It's all right. Smack you were chatting in the last stream.
Yeah, they always had the responsometer.
Yeah.
I think later on they changed them as that they had a previous life or something.
Yeah, I think they changed it so they were like the personalities of human beings, weren't they? Living humans who died, and their personalities were put into the robots.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but the classic team always had the responsometers. Yeah.
What was the name of Tin's girlfriend? Do you remember Tin's girlfriend?
Mm-hmm. They called her Nameless.
That's right. That's why I can't remember
it. but he would call her Beautiful.
That's cool. That's good. So, right, anything else you want to add about the Metal Men? Because they had quite a long run, didn't they, in that Silver Age? I think I've got one comic.
They had 4 showcase issues. With the only I think they're the only characters to have 4 issues straight. And then they had
not good.
Getting old, man. And then they had a 50-some year issue run from the Silver to the Bronze Age.
I forgot I got my birthday book, and that's all I've got of that run. But also they showed up in the Brave and the Bold quite a lot as well, didn't they? They teamed up with Batman, quite often.
And DC Presents Action Comics.
Kind of like always portrayed like more humorously than like as a serious superhero team, though, weren't they?
Yes, they were. They were always kind of like on the whimsical side.
Yeah. Always arguing with each other. Mercury, you say, was impulsive, and good stuff. They had some interesting, because wasn't Chemo originally their villain?
Chemo was the original villain. Yeah, they met him like in the they met him like I believe in one of the later showcase issues.
Right.
And the Missile Men.
Yeah, it was something to do with bombs. And there was some kind of bomb creature.
The Gas Gang.
Yeah.
I think the what were the other ones?
Was there a Plutonium Men or something like that? Wasn't
Plutonium Man? Yep.
Yeah.
That was later in the run. Yeah.
Every now and again. Yeah, every now and again, a new metal would be brought in, wouldn't it? And it'd end up being a villain, and they're trying to take over the team, and then like they'd end up being a villain or something like that, like Uranium or something like that. I can't remember now. Yeah,
they have Uranium Man. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had the Robot Eater or something. I forgot what that was. A big skyscraper kind of robot.
So have you got the full run? You got
I have all their appearances through the mid 2000s. I do. Yeah.
Cool. I bet the early ones are going for quite a few pennies now, aren't they? The early showing the first appearance.
Probably. I'm not much into value, so I just want to have the comic.
Yeah, of course.
So, I don't know. It probably is worth something, but to me, it's worth a lot more to have it.
Yeah, definitely for memory. Okay, that's what's the second comic-related memory you want to share with everybody?
Okay. I'm not exactly sure if this is in the right order, but
all right.
Hey Gary, how you doing? E-Man.
E-Man.
So I'm sort of, I'm getting a little older now. 1973, I think. So I'm 8 or whatever. And I'm now reading, right? And I find this, it was like a drugstore or something like that. And I was really drawn to it because of the color scheme. And it's set up here. First edition. Right. So I was like, ooh, I put my quarter out there. This was 20 cents. Took it home. I just loved it. It's Joe Staten art. The character was very naive. He was actually he was not a being. He was more like just a floating piece of energy.
Right.
that got sentience when an accident happened and came to Earth and just really fell in love with how goofy and how, absolutely wacky he was.
Yeah. Was you sold by the collector's item bit as well, where it says collector's item? He was like, oh, I must have that. Collector's item.
Yep.
So did he have a human body then, or he just he looked like he was human?
He can transform into anything. He's really energy. Notice on his chest he has the Einstein formula.
All right, E equals MC squared. That's why it's called E-Man, is it?
E-Man, right?
So was it E actually stand for E equals MC squared then, or was it like okay, interesting,
like Energy Man, I guess. But
Energy Man, yeah, cool.
The lovely Nova Kane back there.
Nova Kane, is that the name of the lady?
Nova Kane, yes. and she was an exotic dancer.
Nova Kane. Yeah. Is that not like a painkiller or something like that?
Nova Kane, yeah.
Nova Kane.
When you're doing dental work, yeah.
Yeah.
Word,
Yeah, it's an interest. How long did that run for? Did you get that? Did you buy the whole thing as a kid, or did you buy them?
I didn't. I bought like the first. See, what happened is that since I was just a kid, I couldn't go and get whatever I wanted. I sort of had to wait till people took me.
Yeah.
So I got diverse issues, but I do have the whole run now.
Yeah. So was that how your collecting was in the days? Where you had whatever pocket money you had, whenever someone would take you to the store, you bought the ones that you liked, or did you always try and buy the characters that you liked?
I tried to buy the characters that I liked, correct. But you know how it goes, Gray. Sometimes, at least back then, distribution was so spotty. You know, you're lucky if you got 2-3 in a row, and then if your parents were busy or stuff, you'd skip. So. Thank God for LCS is coming in the
because we just had a corner shop right around the corner, and I didn't even know what comics there were, so it'd always be different comics. It seemed like different comics, so I never had like a character that I would buy all the time. I'd just look at the shelves, see which cover appealed to me the most, and took that. But not for the art; it was always for what the story was. I was always engrossed by what situations were being depicted. Like normally the ones where the characters are in peril would be the ones that I had to check out. It's like, how's he going to get out of that one? I've got to buy that comic to find out.
Yeah, I agree. Me too. Yeah. But I generally the way it would go is if it's the character that I knew or liked, I'd go for that one first. And if it didn't have anything, I'd go for what was more appealing on the cover. That's true.
Yeah, cool. How long did he run for? Did you say? How many issues did he have in the end?
Yeah, just 10 issues.
10 issues. Oh, that's pretty sure. Because that's Charlton as well, isn't it?
Yep, that's a Charlton. Yep.
Did they have good distribution? Obviously, it must have better distribution in America than they did in UK, but
not at least not in my area. Like I said, I found number 1 and I found number 2. I remember that, but I didn't have 3 or 4 for many years until I found them in a quarter bin, like in the late 70s, early 80s. Hey, Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
And then I think I found a few like later on in the run, but I missed a whole bunch for 10 years until I finally pieced them together.
How was your storing your comics in them days? Because this is before we had bags and boards and boxes. Did you have that shoe box or something like that?
Exactly. I had a shoe box. I had, my mother would buy like these boots. Because the regular shoebox they wouldn't fit, but the boot ones it would. So I would put them in there, and then later on, I would put them in like baggy, not Ziplocs, but the really bag.
Yeah, cool. And when you need a new box, would you say, "Hey, Mum, your boots are looking a little bit worn. I think you should get yourself a new pair."
No, what I would do is I would sneak into her closet, and I would change my shoebox for her shoebox, and hope that she was none the wiser.
Cool, very clever. Okay, so what's number 3 on your list of comics?
Number 3, I'm going to go with
memories. Oh yeah,
my man Shang-Chi.
Yeah,
I think this is later, 73 or 74, and I guess I'm now 9 or 10. And I didn't get this originally off the rack.
Right.
I got 16 off the rack. And in school, I think about this story, right? We had like little gambling
I think you mentioned
free school, And so I got a bunch of my old, gold keys and things like that. Anything I had and stuff that I didn't want, I would take over there and I would see, who was gambling what. And I saw this and I was like, oh.
Oh, man.
So I probably got this like 75, 76, 70, somewhere in there.
That sounds like the school of hard knocks. When everybody used to do that in my school, here in London, we get engaged in that kind of stuff. So, what was the sort of situation around that time? Was you seeing a lot of kung fu movies on the telly? And that was because I know that it was the 70s had Bruce Lee and so forth. Was it? Did you like martial arts first, or did you buy that and that made you like martial arts? How did it work?
I think probably I did like it already because kung fu was on TV.
Yeah.
Bruce Lee he had just passed away, and he had, of course, all those movies that were just stupendous. And you could go to the community theater, used to have like Kung Fu Day or whatever, Saturday or whatever. Yeah, they are fun comics, Gary. They are. So I would go in there and see, Game of Death and all that. Plus, like the Chinese dub movies,
Yeah,
I love those. I just absolutely love them. And
what was the certificate on them? Did you have to sneak in to see those, or were you allowed to see them? They said to me that I always remember them being like 18s or whatever over here, or X certificates they were called in the day.
I dragged like my cousin who was like older. And
were you allowed, Dean, if you were accompanied by an adult? Then were you?
Correct. I think he was about the same age as my brother, maybe a little older. I don't recall right now. But he liked them too. So, I'd say, hey, let's go. You can sometimes catch 2 movies for the price of one. If you went early, So I said, so I love those. I love those movies. Even today, I still do. But when I started reading this, at first it was because of the kung fu angle, but then it got to a lot of deep philosophical issues and character traits that I really admired from Chang-Chi. So this is another comic that I never missed unless it wasn't there, obviously. And I do have the full run of this today. I was missing a few issues even a few years ago, but I do have them all today.
What did that go to? 80 odd or something, was it?
125.
Oh, wow. That's a pretty good run. I don't think like comics nowadays don't seem to get good runs like that, do they? Back in them days, you get loads of characters, they keep them running. You
know how it was back then, Gray. I mean, for you to reboot a series was unheard of.
Yeah.
So generally, what they would do is that they might change the character in a series, but they would keep it going. But this is something which was a phenomenon. So this was actually Special Marvel Edition.
Right.
And then 2 issues later, it became Master of Kung Fu. From 17 on, it's all Master of Kung Fu.
What about the magazine ones? Because the magazine, was it Deadly Hands of Kung Fu? Was that
Deadly Hands of Kung Fu, right?
Reprints of that, or was that whole new stories?
No, those were new stories that kind of wended into the storylines here, but they were a little edgier, had a little more violence in them. No nudity or no epithets or anything like that. But they were just a little edgier, black and white. So those I could not buy because they never had those where I could get my comics.
Were they a bit more expensive as well, I guess, weren't they?
They were more expensive too. And for a 10 or 11-year-old, a buck is a lot of money. So that
had Iron Fist and White Tiger as well, was it? In those?
Yeah. Yep. Iron Fist, White Tiger, Shang-Chi. And then, of course, then you had DC, you had Richard Dragon, you had Karate Kid. They just fascinated me. So I picked all those up. Hey, reading and retail. So again, this is a character which has just fascinated me, even back in the 70s.
Yeah. What about the supporting characters? Because his father is supposed to be, bloody hell, what's his name? Flicking hell. His dad. It's in there. It's Fu Manchu. Fu Manchu is going to be his father. The Sax Roma properties or whatever. Did you ever read those before? Was you aware of those characters?
No,
before
I was not before this. No.
Yeah.
I think I saw a Fu Manchu trailer or something from like the 30s or 40s.
Because I didn't know this before, but I watched it on like one of the horror channels was showing like apparently there's 4 or 5 Fu Manchu movies starring Christopher Lee.
Yep.
So maybe that must be in the 60s, I suppose, or 50s,
Yeah.
60s maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, there were movies. Yeah, but I didn't see them until way after this.
Yeah, and obviously Shang-Chi wouldn't have been on those.
No. Shang-Chi was actually supposed to be the kung fu character from the TV.
Oh yeah.
Okay? But the licensing deal fell through, so they just created their own character.
Yeah, might as well. Yeah, probably better as well.
Right, and all the supporting cast are almost all Sax Romer characters. You have Fu Manchu, Lei Koi, all those people.
Isn't there a British agent of some sort, like MI5 or something?
Right. And they're what is it? M13. I forgot what it's called.
Not MI5.
MI5. Right?
Yeah.
That's it.
Have you seen anything about the movie? Are you excited for the movie? I mean,
I don't know. I don't know anything about it. No, I mean, I don't know anything about it. I mean,
there's been no trailers.
Go ahead.
There's been no trailers or anything yet. That's there. I don't think.
I don't think so. I'm hoping that they are, more true to this type of Shang-Chi and not like they turned him more into a superhero later on.
Yeah.
Which was, again, just to me this character ended in issue 125. Later on, they gave him like he drank some potion that gave him immortality or something, and duplicate himself. Yeah, that's what I hear. I like I said, I don't even read it because to me that just goes far away from the incredible character that he is. That he abhorred violence. He only defended himself because he was trying to be killed by his own father.
Yeah,
outing him as a megalomaniac. So he was a pacifist through and through.
Yeah. That's what they say. That's one of the things about martial arts. They say you shouldn't learn it to attack people. You should never attack people. Only defend yourself, shouldn't they? That's one of the things they say, isn't it?
No, he never did. He would try to avoid. He'd talk to them and say, "Hey, this is not going to go well for you."
Yeah. What did you think about when he used to cross over with like a superhero? Did you think did you prefer him not crossing over like Spider-Man in Marvel team ups and that? Or
I think that those were pretty well done because those crossovers generally weren't didn't have like the big villains and things like that. Like the one that he crossed over in Marvel Team Up, it was more fighting an organization like Hydra or something. I forgot what it was exactly. Yeah. I mean, he had some villains, but they weren't like up there because he had a lot of villains that he fought, but most of them were not really super powered. They were highly trained and had weapons and things like that.
Nice for hands.
Right. Remember the guy with the guy with the ponytail with the
Zaran or something?
Yeah.
Because they ended up fighting Captain America quite a lot, didn't they? I remember seeing them fighting Captain America.
I don't recall that.
Yeah, later on the Captain America run, I'm pretty sure those guys fought him because I remember seeing.
Maybe those guys.
Yeah, because I know them from Captain America. I don't know because I've only got like 2 Master Kung Fu comics. I don't know if I've read them.
There were very few crossovers. In his title, there were no superheroes that came in here.
No, that makes sense though. It kind of makes sense.
The only villain that I can recall offhand was Dr. Doom, and it really wasn't even him. It was like a robot or something.
Always a robot with Doom. Yeah. Doom never shows up.
So he was really in his own little universe.
Yeah,
for the majority of his career.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed this character.
Yeah. Do you have to go back and reread it again? Like,
yes, about every 5 years, I think I've gone back and reread it, and I'm doing that now because I'm going to be doing a special with Comic Mag Musings next week, hopefully on Shang-Chi.
Yeah, when is that going to be? Do you know what time it's going to be?
I haven't talked about specifics. Maybe next Monday. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll see it around anyway. Yeah. Okay, that's your third one, wasn't it? What's number 4? What's your fourth comic memory? Oh yeah,
Ghost Rider number 1. I know you're a big fan as well.
Yeah, I know these from seeing your videos in the place. You're always showing these ones, so
right. Yeah, I tried to get the ones that I have such an attachment to, right?
Yeah. So
And,
let's paint a picture for us. The first Ghost Rider, the first time you saw Ghost Rider, tell us that story.
I believe the first time I saw him was actually not in a comic, but it was those stickers that Marvel had in the mid and early 70s.
Yeah.
And I just thought he had a cool design, right? So when we went to school and I saw somebody with Ghost Rider comics, I went to their gambling table.
How many gambling tables did you have in your school?
Actually, it wasn't a table; it was just a big field, but they had little pods, with people,
What happened if people didn't pay their debts? Did you have local heavies, like school heavies, who'd go around and?
No, because you had to put your stuff in the pot, so whoever won the pot got it. See.
Yeah.
But I'm sure the statute of limitations have run out on that.
Yeah, I'm sure they have.
25 years ago, But I got my first one. I think it was like number 5 or 6. I don't remember exactly which one it is. And I remember that he was a human that turned into the Ghost Rider at night. I believe at that point it was at night kind of thing. And he turned, and his personality changed. He was much more aggressive and much more suspicious of people, and obviously, was much more willing to get into fracases. Hey, VV, how you doing? Mm-hmm. I don't have my chat open, so I don't know if anybody's saying anything.
Mostly hellos.
But what really, I think, what really drew him to me is that he was a very troubled character. He made a deal with the devil that went bad. Figure that.
Yeah.
And he had a lot of issues, with relationships, and obviously, he had this dual, sort of personality in a sense. And I was having similar issues emotionally at that point in my life as well. So I could attribute to, I could really relate to the issues he was going through. And in a sense, it helped me because I knew that I wasn't alone, and going through those kind of ups and downs and emotionally. And at that point, I searched him out anytime that I was at the 7-Eleven and I saw a Ghost Rider comic, even if like a Marvel Team Up 15, I think he was in, I grabbed that off the rack because, I like to see somebody that is in my situation, not in the same situation. I wasn't possessed, but
no,
but I did have issues with keeping my head straight, 100, as far as all day long. So really, really great character here. Again, he's not just somebody who has power and everything's hunky dory. He had a lot go wrong in his life, all the way through until the end when he got rid of Zarathos.
In the beginning, he never had the penance there, did he? He had kind of devil fire, didn't he, or something like that? And but that didn't actually burn, though, did it? It was like cold fire.
It burned your soul. It was a spiritual burning.
Did it cleanse the people's soul, or did he just hurt them? It didn't cleanse the evil out of them or nothing like that.
Not really. It essentially, and that's an issue that comes up because Spider-Man in one of his team ups has there's a guy there and he's about to kill somebody, and he hits him with the hellfire, and essentially the guy's just traumatized for life, and he was like, hey, we're supposed to be the good guys. He goes, I got to do what I got to do to get the results I want.
Yeah. Yeah, it was an interesting character. To be honest, though, I read a few as a kid, but now I'm trying to get the whole run, and I've got to read it all. So I'm still I haven't read that many of them, to be honest. I've only read probably about 5 or 6 or something. Mm-hmm. I've read him in the Champions run as well, and but I'm looking forward to finally getting that run complete so I can read it all.
Yeah. I mean, it's uneven because every writer kind of had a different twist to him.
Yeah.
Frederick, which was his creator, by the way, Frederick also created a sort of prototype Ghost Rider called Hell Rider. or Skywald, but
Okay, that's
not go there.
interesting.
But there's a lot of similarities. Not
Yeah.
exactly, but a lot of similarities.
What
And
about the Grim Ghost? Did he come before Ghost Rider, or is he?
no, it was after. That was 75, I believe. Yeah. Yeah.
And you recently, like, was it last year? You got the very, very first appearance of him.
Yep. Last year, Bub from Bub's Comics called me up and said, "Hey, this guy has one. Found it on Facebook or something." And it's missing like part of the bottom of the cover, but
yeah,
I have it. I have all his appearances.
Yeah,
So,
that's good. That's always good to do that. All right, that's four. That's four of your comic memories.
Yep. Last one, and this
last one for this video. We might come back another time and do 5 more. You never know.
All right.
In the future.
So this is the last one, and a lot of people, I have, the 181 as well, right? But
yeah,
this is the one that I think is more important to me. Has nothing to do with Wolverine, by the way.
Cool.
Because this is among the batch of comics that I first bought with my own money. In 1974, my parents were going to Los Angeles, and I was going with them the summer of 74, I remember. And we're going to Knott's Berry Farm, Disneyland, all that. No, not Disneyland. I don't think we went to Disneyland. Well, Hollywood, right?
Yeah.
And I told, hey, Mom, I'm going to go to the newsstand and pick some stuff up. It's a long flight from Florida to California. And this was in there. And I had just seen one of those, not documentaries, but one of those shows where they try to see if these mystical creatures exist,
Oh, yeah.
Monster. And I saw one, the Yeti.
All right.
Right. And Bigfoot.
Yeah.
So I saw this white guy back here in the woods, and I was like, hey, that's the Yeti. So I was like, I got to get this one, And then on the way back from California, I got this one because it had him also back there. See? So the reason I have these two is because of the Yeti. It has nothing to do with Wolverine.
It wasn't even a Yeti. It was a Wendigo.
Wendigo. Yeah. It wasn't even, but I still enjoyed the story. And the Hulk character I knew from before because, when I couldn't read English very well, these comics were a little easier to read because of, Hulk smash, me want beans.
Yeah.
Me like you, so it was easier to understand them.
Yeah.
So all those sort of converge and this is amongst the first batch. I think I bought like $2 worth of comics, so probably 7 comics, and I read them all on that trip to Los Angeles. But this is my favorite of that batch.
Well, you say you bought it with your own money. Was it your pocket money? You've been getting pocket money, or was you doing a job to earn the money for it, or?
Yeah, I was mowing lawns.
Oh, yeah.
I was pulling weeds, I was cleaning fences, things like that. I was probably 10 years old, but my neighbors were like, I didn't know. I thought they were family members, because we were all, and they would say, "Hey, Roger, come over. I'll give you $1 if you do whatever."
Yeah.
So, I probably had like $10 to my name.
It's pretty good.
Now, this is not my original copy. I'm going to make a long story very short. I let a friend borrow my Hulk 180 and 181, and which had the stamps cut out of it.
All right.
Right. And then after about a month, I say, hey, could I have it back? I want to, because I'm a run collector, as you know.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, I don't know what you're talking about. You never gave me those and whatever. So in order to avoid a big scandal,
you just buried him somewhere.
In 1980.
Yeah.
But like a few months later, I found these both in a mall comic book or collectible show. And I think it was like $1 bin. And I even back then they were worth, $20. So I knew, this was actually worth more back this one.
Right.
And so I told the guy, hey, this is what I got. Are these $1? And he's like, just give me the money.
Oh,
he didn't
yeah.
know what I had.
Yeah.
He was busy negotiating with somebody else. So I took him and I skedaddled.
Yeah, yeah, good bit of buying there. I got to say, good bit. I mean, I remember Wolverine because I remember when I was in infant school and they had some like UK reprint comic books. And when it was like, I don't know, every now and again, they have a session where you haven't got to do lessons, you can just read books or something like that. And they had some comics in there. I remember reading the Wendigo and the Hulk and Wolverine showing up kind of thing in these old UK reprints. But I don't think I ever saw the actual comic book on the shelves or anything like that. I'm pretty sure I didn't.
Wow, that would have been a good one to I know your story with ASM 300 breaks my heart.
Oh, every time I see people showing it off, it's like, I'm not that fussed because I'm not a massive Venom fan at all. But the fact it's a big key, and I was collecting that run, and he should have given it to me in my box is what annoys me more than anything.
Yeah, it is annoying. It's annoying.
Yeah.
I don't have it either because that was one of the ones that I didn't have a pull list for Spider-Man, but I would go in and pick it up, and it was gone, so I don't have it either.
That makes me think though. I wonder if he'd like give it to somebody else because maybe there was a hot book at the time and I didn't know anything about speculation or anything like that. I didn't know the keys were even a thing. I'd even heard of that phrase, and so maybe that's what it was. Somebody else said, "Oh, have you got that new character?" And they took it out of my box and sold it to him or something like that.
It was a hot book. I remember that for sure. Yeah, they were totally sold out in my LCS like when I got there. Yeah.
That's probably what happened. Never mind. Anyway, cheers for coming on and chatting about your 5 of your comic book memories. I think I've seen all those mentioned, like in your videos, like you tell your stories. Like so, I've heard them all before. But it's always good to hear them again and be reminded. And to all have them in one video as well, of course, is always good.
Here, my multitude of videos are all right here on the Gray Man channel.
I'm going to rename it the Best of Roger. All right. Anything you got coming up you want to talk about? Are you having a couple of weeks off or something, or are you going away?
No. Next Saturday, my wife has something going on.
Yeah, cool. So you'll have the usual breakdown of all the contests.
Thursday we got the roundup. This Tuesday, I'm coming up with a special video. And supposedly next weekend, I'm going to meet with Bill and do something with Chang-Chi. So keep your notification bell on Comic Mag Musings and Metarog because it'll be coming.
And Thursday week, is it Graders Notes as well, isn't it?
Graders Notes is every other week, of course.
Yeah.
Not this Thursday, but the following Thursday is on my channel. And we're going to be doing shameless plug here. We're going to be eviscerating Marvel Premiere number 28. Gambling, taking advantage of busy dealers. I fear we are seeing a seedier side of I gave him every opportunity, Bill, to see what I had if it was legit, and he refused. So
yeah, that's on him. It was in the box that marked $1 anyway. Well, I've kind of done that. It was like a 50p bin.
Yeah.
It was put in there by accident. So I looked at it, I thought, there's no way that's 50p. And I went to and said, this is in the 50p bin. He went, oh, no, that's 18 quid. I thought, oh, that's a shame. I wish it was. But there you go. Anyway, so that's it. Cheers for coming on. I'm going to see you down.
Thank you very much for having me on. Always great to see you.
And anyone out there who wants to come on and share their comic book memories with me at some point, I'm doing comic book memories and I'm doing music memories as well. So maybe you'll come back and talk about some memorable musical moments, Roger, as well at some point.
Sure. Why not?
Cool. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys. Take care.
Make sure you tune into my 31 Nights of Halloween.
Absolutely. Can't miss that stuff.